Hello everyone, today I just wanted to make this video to thank Stefan Lutijn. BonerFPV, he created a map in Velocidrone that is the exterior of the house, and it's taken me a little while. I don't sim that much. I usually sim for particular purposes. You know, I'm kind of old school. I like to just fly. I really wanted to thank him. It's one of those things that in my time at FPV, it's kind of a marker, or I don't know, a historical event. Kind of like, oh, I forgot to turn the light on. Hold on a second. Kind of like the channel logo statue over there that Mr. Wiggles FPV made. There's been a lot of those moments in my time and making videos and being part of the FPV community that has had these markers. And Stefan making this map, it's really something. I know many of you will say, oh, can I go inside? Well, unfortunately, you know, that's a really big job. And I know that many people have been looking forward to finding a simulator map of the inside, and I just don't think it's ever going to happen. I think it's such a huge workload just to create the outside that Stefan did, you know, within the confines of the tools that he has available within the Polyworld, within the Velocidrone map editor. That doing the inside, it creates just an insurmountable amount of work creating all the different objects to make it even look remotely similar. But I think it's really special to me at the very least. And I really wanted to thank him. If you'd like to show your support for Mr. BonerFPV, I'll put a link down in the video description to his Patreon. You might be able to sign up and help him out that way. Or if he's got a buy me a coffee or any other sort of link that he might have set up to show our support for the work that he's done for the community within Velocidrone, that would be outstanding. Again, I'll put links to his support methods down in the video description below. And I also want to thank Heads over at Infinity Loops. You should head over their channel and you should subscribe. I'm going to show a little bit of his footage because he's a top-notch micro freestyler, although I think he uses a lot of 5-inchers in the flight simulators, but he can really show off what you can do in the space, whereas a little bit more crude, but let's take a look at it. So I've loaded up Velocidrone. Velocidrone is not a freeware, so you do have to pay for licensing, and you also need to get the combat pack in order to have this dynamic polyworld available to you. So kind of two purchases in there. I'm hoping many of you already have purchased license for Velocidrone, a very good flight simulator. It's a good thing to use that's much less expensive to learn to fly, to learn to do new tricks, to just have fun. You can also do racing in here. You can compete against others on leaderboards and whatnot. But you see there we've got 2 Nick Burns tracks. Track 1 I think was the original test track, and the one without track 1 is the one that we'll be using. Okay, we're all set to go here. I think my mic's a little hot. I see it popping up in the red. Let me turn that down just a touch. Oh, let's go. So obviously we don't have mountains in our area, so that's just about, you know, having scenery and having something else to look at besides just our house. But as we approach the front of the house, look at that. Of course, the colors and the exact shapes won't be exactly right. And no, there isn't a huge satellite tower in our backyard either, but he's even got the little, the brick footing here along the sidewalk, and he's got our mailbox, and inside the mailbox is, oh, I'm gonna crash. I'm trying not to crash. I can't hear anything. Let's see how close I can get. There's a little unicorn inside there. And of course we don't have a truck, and I do not think that truck is going to fit through either one of those garage doors. But we've got our tree out front, and he's got a little bush also indicating. And we've got our porch with the white pillars out there. I guess they're kind of pillars. So just looking at kind of the accuracy here a little bit. As far as placement of things go, I would say it's 90-95%. Of course, you know, bushes might be a little bit different, like this one we're looking at here. The one on the right, that's a little bit more light bulb shaped, where it's big and bushy around the top, just as it clears the fence. These are, I can't even remember what they're called. They're like a cattail. It looks like he used corn, but that's a pretty good representation as well. We have the picket fence, which of course ours is just natural wood colored, and that one is white. And we've got the pool with the cement all the way around it, and we've got our fire pit. Although the fire pit is missing the cement seating arrangement that's on the near side here on the opposite of the chairs. And of course, he's got the chairs out as well. 2 steps in the sliding glass doors, just as you would expect. expect, and the pergola as well. And up here by the table, if I can kind of safely hover, it's got my cell phone as well as glasses sitting right out there, because many of you may know I use a cell phone to record flight audio, and I include that in all my clips. We've got our little greenery area between the what we call the cabana area and the pergola. That is curved in reality, but I say that's pretty close to the reality. And of course, this tree here is a Japanese maple, and so it's got there's much less space in real life to do a maneuver between that area. Then we've got our cabana, which is just new over here. We've even got our bar top and our couch and the little storage here on the right, and the TV on the wall on the right, and our ceiling fan. And we've got our grill, which is really getting after it over there too. So that's all spot on as far as I'm concerned. This tree is pretty close. I think it's a little bit closer this way. I think the tree actually goes about here, this tree, but we don't fly around that tree much when I'm out flying. And something that I noticed when I was testing this out is I do think we're missing a tree. I think there's another tree that would go right halfway between these two trees if I back up and go this way. There's one more tree right in there. Whoop, I'm going to crash. One more tree would go right about where the quad is. Maybe a little closer to the fence, though. I think all these trees need to be a little bit closer to the fence to really be really super accurate. And this tree over here that's kind of got the dual to represent a little bit bigger, a little bit more in the corner is where it's placed in actuality. Again, we've got some other structures here to make the map more interesting. You've got some lit up hoop gates, and you've got this metal structure with some, looks like studio lighting, almost like for a music tour or something like that. The landscaping is going to be a little bit different. Looks like he tried to represent that to a degree here with this little bump up area, but the landscape changed when we had the backyard redone to where there's better water runoff so that it comes down from the rest of the neighborhood and won't come into our yard. So that's not necessarily here, and I suspect that's kind of a tough thing to draw out when it's, these worlds probably want a lot of flatness to them. Let's see, let's go back down this way. This tree could go a little bit more in the corner, and then of course this tree that we've got right here is a little bit more flat on top and spread out, so it's in the right location, it's just not the right kind of tree. And we got my neighbor's house, which that is not supposed to be modeled to accuracy. This is just kind of simulating the area. And then we've got whoa, I'm gonna crash again. I'm talking and flying, not my thing. A couple other things just to have some fun, and we've got a dive gate there, or a series of dive gates, and then we've got these other gates up across the top of the house, which one of the things that I do, let's see if I can do it without crashing and resetting here, is I go whoop. Ooh. That's one of the things I do. Obviously, I'm flying a 5-inch here, so it's way more powerful than the typical quad you see in my backspace. But wow, it's really cool. I really appreciate all the time and effort he spent doing this. This wasn't something that I commissioned or prompted him to do. This is something that he did for the community. And it's super special to me, and I wanted to put together a video to signal boost the fact that it's out there. So if any of you want to fly the backyard, it is available in Velocidrone. You can enjoy that yourself, and to kind of go through, how accurate it is. Because when Heads was kind of demoing this on his live stream here probably 2+ weeks ago, that was one of the questions I got, because I joined the live stream in the chat, was how accurate it is. And it is, like I say, 90 to 95% very accurate. Of course, this is not accurate. That is not in my backyard. But overall, yeah, I'm just really stoked with what he's done. And I showed it to my wife, and she was super happy. Although I do have a complaint. Let's go out front. So there's a tree missing right in this area, right off the corner of the house. But that wasn't his focus. I have a complaint. So they have a truck. Looks like a nice truck, a 4x4 truck. Got some flared hubs there. But if we go over here to my neighbor's house, which this would be Errol's house, he has got a friggin' sports car. How come I didn't get the sports car? Yes, you could make fun of me for driving the dad van. I've been driving minivans for years. I actually love the minivans. My wife wanted me to get an SUV, and I was like, no, why would I do that? They're more expensive. They cost more to insure, more taxes. I can't get a 4x8 sheet of plywood or sheetrock in the back, but with the minivan, I can. And I certainly didn't want a truck. Nothing against trucks. I had a truck when I was younger, and everybody wants to borrow your truck because they think you'll just give it to them so that they can go move something. And then they leave it all dirty and they burn all your gas. But again, Stefan, this outstanding. Thank you so much. Really, really special to me. It's something that I hope Velocidrone never removes any maps. And even when I'm old and gray and my fingers and eyes don't work too much, I guess I'm already kind of gray. I can come back to this map and kind of relive some of these moments that I've enjoyed over the years in doing FPV. Now let's go over to some footage from Heads, because that guy can really show you how much fun a simulator can be. As you watch him fly, I just grabbed a part of that session. He flew the map for about 2 hours. Man, he's very creative. He's got all these different moves in his toolbox of things that he can do and execute, and he really kind of just does a great job, in my opinion, showing off the map. And because it can seem kind of plain for a simulator, because with the simulator, the sky's the limit, right? You can have all sorts of different possibilities, and I've seen Heads fly a bunch of different maps, and some of them I can't figure out which way is up and which way is down. But I wanted to show some of his flight footage of him having a good time in the simulator and showing it off, as well as remind you that if you are not subscribed to Infinity Loops, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to Infinity Loops. Great micro channel. Whoop lovers, 75mm whoop lovers. I got a bone to pick with JB, I guess, from what I hear, saying 65 is the way to go. It can be, but it's not the best. Again, Stefan, thank you so much. BonerFPV, for all you guys that might not be familiar, he's the creator. You've probably seen BonerFPV listed, but he goes by Stefan Lutijn. I think I'm kind of getting close on your name. I apologize, sir. I'm not much of a linguist. If you watch the channel, you kind of already know that about me. I get kind of tongue-tied on names specifically, but this is it's really cool, and I really appreciate it. And it kind of makes me feel like I'm blushing here as I'm talking about it. It's something that I didn't think would ever happen. I've had a lot of people ask about it. I've had 2 companies ask me about it, but it's been one company, it's been several years. Another company, it's been about a year. Nothing. So he gets high marks for doing it for me, and high marks for doing something that those other companies out there wouldn't do, or couldn't do, or won't do. So thank you very much again, Stefan. And thanks again to Heads for featuring it on one of his live streams. Go over to Infinity Loops, click that subscribe button, enjoy some of their fun flights. Heads and OG, they do really a couple of streams a week where they're doing simulator stuff, general discussion. It goes all over the internet as far as FPV stuff, as well as just things that are on people's minds that are there watching. So head on over. I'll put a link down in the video description to Infinity Loops. And I just wanted the signal boost that this was out there and kind of show it off, because I guess in some ways I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud that people want to fly our backyard. I guess my wife sees it as a payoff of all the iterations the yard has gone through where other people want to fly in the backyard. I still miss the swing set, and I think adding that metal structure was a good call. I'd like to see something back there and for real life one day, and we've kind of discussed it, but I think we're kind of waiting for one of our kids to go off to college, so we only have 2 in the house that we're taking care of, and maybe then we'll find the time to make an actual plan to not fill the space, but add some character out there. I've said it a few times. Thank you very much, Stefan. Thank you, Heads. I hope everyone in the community enjoys at least going and exploring. There's a secret, which I think I showed you in the mailbox. And just enjoy the map for what it is. It's good fun. It's good practice. It's much less expensive practice. You don't cost you anything outside of the initial licensing fees to get Velocidrone. You can crash it hundreds of millions of times and no more dollars have to come out of your wallet. So that can be very viable. it can take a little bit of a powerful computer. So if you've got a real old computer like the one I used to make videos with 2 years ago, probably not going to work out great. But if you've got something you've bought in the last, I'd say 2 or 3 years, hopefully it'll run it. It's got all sorts of controls in there. You can turn down graphics to make it work on your hardware specs. But I'm no expert. I tend to actually fly in real life way more than I sim. Oh, the heater's starting. I better turn it off. I've gotten a little long in the tooth here. I appreciate your time. And thanks for watching.